watched Bad Lieutenant Port Call, New Orleans.
Port of Call, New Orleans.
And so this was a fantastic Nicolas Cage movie.
One of his better performances, I would say. Although we haven't watched some really, like, prerequisite Nick Cage movies, like Vampire's Kiss, and there's another one where he's just, like, batshit insane. But this movie, he turned it up to 11.
Yeah, he was, like, really crazy, and I feel like the fact that his character was so crazy is what made it a bad movie. But at the same time, his acting was really good as to convey how crazy this character was.
If they turned him down, like, 3 notches, like, it wouldn't be a good movie, let's be honest there, but, like, it was well crafted at least. I mean, it's directed by Werner Herzog, who's a director that I really enjoy, and, you know, he's one of the, you know, he's a premier director, but this movie was insane.
So just to give a little bit of background, so we have, you know, a starting ground. Nick Cage is a police officer in New Orleans.
Lieutenant, even.
Oh, a lieutenant.
Post-Katrina New Orleans, which is...
Yeah.
It's like, it starts right after Katrina, where him and Val Kilmer, who is his partner, are in what looks to be like a prison block that's flooding. And for some reason, these asshole guards just left a guy behind in his cell.
And he's about to drown.
He's like screaming. He's like up to his, you know, chest in water. Like he doesn't have that much longer until he drowns. But Val Kilmer and Nicolas Cage are up on like the second tier, looking down on him, and they're just like, "Why the fuck should we get wet to save you?" Like, like
I know.
The cruelest. Val Kilmer is such a dick in this movie, like, through and through.
And then they, like, start walking away, and then Nicolas Cage, like,
gets his conscience comes back in. And he does the most retarded thing ever, where he just dives off of a second story.
Onto the first floor.
In water that's, you know, 4 feet deep.
4 or 5 feet
And he ends up fucking up his spine. He, like, breaks a vertebra or something. And then it cuts to, like, cuts to the present, I should say. And... he's got like a weird hunch. He's like this the entire movie, where one shoulder is like a good half a foot above the other one.
Because he got the news broken to him that he's going to be in pain for the rest of his
life.
life.
Oh yeah, that's right. He was at the doctor's office, and he's like, you know, I'll release you to go back to being a detective, but this is something you're going to have to deal with your whole life.
Yeah.
And so he's
like on Vicodin 24/7.
He's on Vicodin,
and then we find out that Vicodin is not enough.
He escalates to crushing it up and snorting it, and then just keeps on going from there. He's like smoking blunts, and he's doing coke. He does heroin, meth. I think he does
crack.
He does do crack. Yeah, yes, it's crack. He smokes crack a lot. He actually has his own crack pipe in this movie, which is insane.
He calls it his lucky crack pipe.
Right. Yeah, it's like a one hitter that. He makes an exhibit exhibits in this movie also.
Yeah. So real quick.
Yeah, let's go through this in order.
Okay. So one of the first things we see him do is like abuse his cop privilege. He like sees like this young guy and girl like walking down the road kind of sketchily, and so he thinks that they have drugs, and so he like pulls up his cop car and he's like, "I'm a police officer, like get out your drugs."
The stop and frisk, which is unconstitutional.
Yeah, and so he like finds drugs and he takes it from them, but it's like real sketchy. He's like,
he takes like a bag of weed or something. Yeah, he's like getting close to her and shit.
Yeah, so he's like all up on this girl, and he's like making the boyfriend like watch him like feel her up.
Oh yeah, he's like, I want you to watch this. Like, I need you to watch this while you like it when I touch your girl like that. Like, just like pawing on her and shit.
It was disgusting.
It was disgusting.
So he proceeds, whatever drugs he took from them,
it was a bag of weed. It was like a bag of weed. Like, it wasn't anything that crazy.
Yeah, and so it just gets crazier from there. He has a girlfriend who is Eva Mendes, who's also a prostitute, so he's dating a prostitute.
Right. She doesn't have a lot to do in this movie. I don't think she...
No.
She just, like, comes in and out of the movie at certain points and doesn't really have an impact on it that I can tell. No.
So he just continues to abuse his cop privilege. He's, like, smoking blunts with people that he's about to arrest, and he's like, whose word are they gonna take? Like, yours or mine?
And, and he's just, like...
Oh, he also did that with, like, a giant bag of cocaine, like, near the end, right?
Oh, yeah. Everything.
It was like, must have been, like, pounds of cocaine.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of cocaine, essentially, yeah. So... it's crazy. But I guess, like... What the hell happened next in the story? I don't even know. Yeah.
I don't even know the storyline because it's like kind of hard to follow.
This is a recurrent theme in our show. Here.
I know. This is what makes movies bad, is that there's not a clear series of events.
It's like there's not like a cause and effect like in a real movie, that would make sense. It's like just like a series of incidents that sort of go towards a final conclusion. He gets caught up with Exhibit at some point during this movie and is running with them. He also, Brad Dourif, who did the voice of Chucky, is an actor I really like.
Oh, I didn't know
is his bookie during this movie. He has he bets a lot of money and owes people, the wrong people,
like
a lot
thousands
of
dollars.
Yeah, it's like $10,000, I think, is what it was.
But it's so sketchy because
horse racing, or what was he betting on?
I don't remember.
It was like
sports
betting.
Sport.
It was sports betting. I know he eventually he throws one of the biggest college football games in the country by arresting one of the star players with a bag of weed for an illegal stop and seizure where the guy had a small baggie of weed on him, and he's threatening to, to expose him unless he throws this game that Nicolas Cage is going to bet on.
I totally forgot about this.
I know.
This is insane.
I know. But during all this, it's Nicolas Cage cackling like a hyena, acting like a real crackhead.
Okay, hold on. I have to interject real quick. So while we're talking about him being on drugs and insane, this was like the craziest part of the movie for me. There's like this police officers meeting, and so he walks in and he looks at the desk and he says,
he's standing there right next to Val Kilmer, and he's like, "You guys, who's got these fucking iguanas in here?" He's like, "Why do you guys have iguanas in here?" One of them's not an iguana, by the way. It's a bearded lizard. I made sure to point that out. Val Kilmer's like, "What are you talking about? There's no iguanas here." And then he's insistent. He's like, "Are you fucking with me?" He's like, "Are you fucking with me? There's iguanas here." And Val Kilmer's like, are you okay, man? Like, there's no iguanas.
That's the end of it. Like, if you insisted that there were, like, iguanas on this table, I'd be like, "Brandon,
let's go to the hospital.
We need to, like...
Hey.
Something is wrong with you."
Hey, buddy.
But
hey.
Everybody, they just kind of brushed it off. And this is, like, a room full of people.
Police officers who should know what people who are on drugs act like. He's never, like, suspected until 2/3 of the way through the movie. Like, he's got all this free reign. And eventually, he's like, these cops kind of understand what he's up to and know that he's all fucked up. But not for a good long time.
Yeah, and I'm kind of like, how do you not know? Because he is so messed up. He's like
crazy.
Shaking.
Yes.
He has the shakes, and he's like so jittery and just like
all over the place, all over the yard.
Clearly on drugs.
Clearly fucked up. Yeah.
Like, there's no way that a normal person would act like this. And this is where I give him like acting props. Is that you see him and you're like, he is like messed up like the whole time.
Yeah, but he acts. Yes. Don't get me wrong. He was fantastic in this movie, but like, he acts like. It's like somebody who doesn't know what drugs are like, acting like they're on drugs, you know what I mean? It's like, it is a little forced at some points, but he's just acting insane. It's not like somebody who's on drugs, he's just acting insane.
Like a crazy person.
Like Nicolas Cage does.
I need to rewind to the iguana scene because it went on for so much longer than you would expect. So there's like this little dialogue about the iguanas, and then Nick Cage is just staring at them.
And then it's like goes kaleidoscoping, like a kaleidoscope kind of view, like a real weird like lens is put on the camera, and it just looks at the iguanas for a good minute, a solid minute of runtime.
You keep thinking that it's gonna end, but it isn't, and then it shows like Nick Cage just like.
We were just like, at first we were just like, oh, this is crazy, and then that was at like the 15-second mark, and then like. By 45 seconds, we're like, are you serious that this is still happening? Like, how is this still going on? It was crazy.
Really bizarre.
The part that really got me, though, was when he was at Exhibit's office, I guess, and who was it that they shot? I don't even know who that guy was that they shot. They just, like, blew this dude away. A couple guys away. Was it a couple? I don't even know. I don't even remember. But anyways, they killed somebody. They shot him, like, 1,000,000 times, and then Nick Cage is like, you need to shoot him again. And the guy's like... What he's like, what the fuck for? And he's like, I can still see his soul dancing, and then it cuts to the guy, and his soul,
like
literally his soul is dancing like the dancing baby thing. It's like like this shit, and he starts cackling maniacally.
Yeah, there's also the thing when it's just him and the other officer and the one criminal is that Exhibit when he's like shoot him even though he like wasn't threatening anybody.
Right. Yeah.
And Nick Cage keeps insisting to his other police officer like shoot him.
Right.
And stuff, but this guy like is clearly not fighting back. He's just like standing there.
Yeah. Right.
And he's like, "Are you guys really gonna kill me?" And Nick Cage is like, "Yeah, we're gonna kill you."
But it was Exhibit. Yeah. He's like, why are you... So you don't need to do this at all.
And it was crazy. And so like
his
partner was like, dude, no, like we are not gonna kill this dude.
No, it was the other way around, I'm pretty sure. Val Kilmer, at the end of the movie, Val Kilmer was like, when they bust Exhibit, he's like, alright, let's kill this dude, steal his money, and, you know, get out of here. And Nick Cage is like, no, we're not going to do that, put the cuffs on him and shit.
I thought it was the other way around. Maybe not.
No, it was... Val Kilmer, like I said, he's an asshole throughout the whole... This is the kind of movie we're talking about. Like, we don't know who did what. Val Kilmer, like, that's why I was saying he's an asshole the whole time. Like, he does everything that a cop would not do. He's like the most corrupt cop of all time. So he just wanted to dust this guy and steal his money. And Nick Cage was not about that.
Yeah, and back to like the sports betting. So Nick Cage's bookie was like bringing him thousands of dollars in cash to the office.
The police station.
Yeah, just the office, and he like opens up. He's like, "Here's your like $6,000 or whatever, like in cash." Like
in the police bullpen with people like, you know, arrested behind him and shit. You know, he's like, and he's getting loud with them too.
Yeah. About
him not paying his sports gambling bets. Like, these are not the people that you don't pay and shit. You know.
Yeah, he was like crazy. Real loud about it, and also. When was Katrina? Like 2005? I
think it was 6.
Okay, whatever. But none of the police officers had computers on their desks.
No, it's like all typewriters and shit. It's like 1980s police officers.
I was like, what is happening? This is like time travel right now.
I really enjoyed this movie though, overall, even though I can't remember shit that happened.
Yeah, like, it was okay.
This is a week later that we're doing this once again. It's like, YOLO. But, I would definitely recommend this to anybody who is looking for bad movies to watch, because this is an entertaining one.
It is entertaining. I was like laughing a lot during this one.
I almost said anything with Nick Cage. Most of the things with Nick Cage are great. Season of the Witch, not a good movie.
Real quick before we wrap up, I just want to talk about how the movie ends.
Right.
It ends with him getting promoted.
Yes.
Even though he's done all this crazy stuff and he's all drugged up.
He's a bad lieutenant throughout this whole movie.
Yeah, and he
now
gets promoted to captain.
At the end, he's a bad captain.
Yeah, except for apparently he's sober at the end because his
hooker
girlfriend
it cuts
is
to
pregnant.
a year. Yeah, it cuts to a year later, and they're all of them are who?
All of them. It was his dad was alcoholic.
His dad, right.
His stepmom was like also an alcoholic.
Oh yeah, we didn't even mention them at all.
His prostitute girlfriend was addicted to drugs, and he was addicted to drugs.
Oh, that's right, because she like halfway through the movie, she was like, "I'm going to AA with your dad, or NA with your dad, whatever." And she wanted to get clean. And Nick Cage is like, "You're not going to snort this enormous like palm-sized bag of cocaine with me, or whatever it was." Yeah.
But anyway, so he gets promoted to captain, and they're all cheersing with water glasses.
Yes, yeah.
So that's how you know.
Opening its way for sequel, Bad Lieutenant 2, Port of Call, Boston, whatever.
Let's hope not.
Oh no.
All right, so that's really it. This movie was...
Yeah, it's insane. Watch it.
If you want.
Clickety clack.